Hello, I'm a Greek geek because I'm 50% Greek and 100% a geek. So before cinematic universes were cool, Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan team up against the ultimate evil, King Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, however you want to pronounce it. Meanwhile, the human characters are looking for a princess who is being mind-controlled by aliens from Venus. Yes, this is definitely a Godzilla plot. The two plots in this movie, the Godzilla and monster plot and the human plot, doesn't really mesh well together. They seem like their own two separate things. The humans are trying to find this princess from this nation who is being controlled by aliens from Venus, not Uranus, and is warning against the end of the world. Meanwhile, a meteorite falls to the ground, which may or may not be a three-headed dragon monster, and Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan team up to take it down. And the princess who's being mind-controlled prophesizes that the Kaiju are going to attack Japan. And honestly, who could have seen that coming? With the human characters, the only two characters I really liked was like the brother and sister in the movie. I liked their dynamic and how they bounced off each other. They actually seemed like they were brother and sister. And in this movie, they try to humanize the monsters a bit more because the Shobijin fairies translate to the humans what Mothra is saying. And Mothra is trying to convince Rodan and Godzilla to team up together to take on King Ghidorah. And it's the monsters actually communicate with each other. We find out that Godzilla and Rodan don't necessarily hate humanity that much. They just don't really like them because they keep attacking them whenever they're around, and yeah, it's a bit weird.
All three of us must fight together against this new monster to save the Earth. And what is Rodan saying now? He says it's none of their business if the Earth perishes. And Godzilla agrees with him.
And I guess King Ghidorah is a character as well, even though he's in the movie hardly at all. But even just from this movie, King Ghidorah has become a huge Godzilla villain, like probably the most iconic Godzilla villain. And it's only in the movie for a few minutes. And so that's how much of an impression King Ghidorah left on, I guess, Japanese and Western audiences, because he's a fan favorite. Kind of how, like with Darth Vader, he was only in A New Hope for a few minutes and he became one of the most iconic villains of all time. Starting with this movie, this is where the Godzilla movies start treating Godzilla as less of a threat and more of a defender of humanity, because Godzilla doesn't spend any time attacking people, only Rodan and then King Ghidorah, so Godzilla is now an ally of man. And these movies start taking more of a lighthearted tone. King Kong vs. Godzilla had the same kind of tone, but this one is even more so. Now, what we're all here for is the Kaiju monster fights, and they're actually pretty decent for the time in this movie. I liked seeing all three monsters team up and use their separate abilities in conjunction with each other to take on King Ghidorah, who is just a complete force to be reckoned with. And like Rodan using Mothra on his back to shoot webs at King Ghidorah to try and tie him up, and them just working together to try and take him down. There is some pretty awkward and dumb-looking puppetry at work in this movie. Like, for example, when Godzilla's fighting Rodan, they're just like two puppets just bashing up against each other, and it just looks really dumb. Because this movie has a more lighthearted tone, they try some goofy moments with the action. Like, for example, Godzilla gets hit by King Ghidorah's gravity beams in the junk and in his ass. So, that's a bit dumb. So I would definitely recommend checking out this movie, especially if you're a Godzilla fan. It shows all these different monsters from these different movies, Mothra, Rodan, Godzilla, coming together to take on a bigger threat. So this is kind of its own Avengers, way before Avengers was a thing. And it shows that they're going to include more kaiju in all the different movies. So that is really fun to see. So if you're new to my channel and you like monster movies, kaiju movies, Japanese movies, like this movie, I cover these a lot on my channel. So if you would consider hitting the subscribe button, that would be very much appreciated. I cover these kind of videos all the time. And as always, thank you for watching me ramble on about a movie for a few minutes. Thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.